Welcome back. It's your boy Fresh.
And I'm Mary, and we are a Co-ople of nerds. And today we are going to be doing Kickstart my review for Masters of the Night. But before we begin, don't forget to give us a like, a subscribe, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So, Masters of the Night is a game created by Ares Games. That's the publisher. It was designed by Nikolay Aslamov, and the artist was Alan D'Amico. It's 1 to 5 players, ages 13 and up, and it plays in about 45 minutes.
So this is a horror game, or horror cooperative game, with action point allowance and variable player powers. So we do all of our games with 3 categories: story/theme, components/art, and gameplay. So let's jump right into story/theme. There is no overarching story. So as things develop, you don't have to, or you don't get to read more of the story, or more of the stories presented to you. They've got a couple paragraphs just kind of setting the game up, but there's no changing story.
It progresses in a sense because the events get more difficult. There's 3 acts. So as you know, you go through the first act and then the second act and then the third act, it gets more difficult, but it doesn't necessarily play into any kind of a story.
Right.
The theme, however, it shines through really well within the playing of this game, especially with the variable player powers. And you have different location abilities. So the characters, they're all vampires, and they all have special abilities that you might attribute to actual vampires that we'd see in the movies and stuff.
Or real life.
Real life, maybe. Who knows? So, and it plays really well through that, and the abilities that, you have the different city tiles. So you have the police department, you have city hall, and each of those city tiles has a specific ability that you might actually attribute to something like, to that actual city tile. So an example, the cathedral, if you have an agent in the cathedral, the agents are the bad guys. If there's an agent in the cathedral,
they could be the good guys and we're playing the bad guys.
The cathedral outnumbers the number of minions. Minions is like your little sidekick helpers in the game. If they outnumber the number of minions on that city tile, then you're unable to use your special ability. So it's kind of like they're praying away your ability to use your extra powers. And
your relics. And another example is the radio station. If you control the radio station with a minion, basically he's getting on the radio telling the people that vampires aren't real. Because the whole theme of this game is that you're a family of vampires, you're trying to take over the city, and then there are these vampire hunters that are trying to expose you. So you're trying to maintain the veil of secrecy, they are trying to expose the veil.
Right.
So you win by creating these sigils and take over the city. You lose if the veil of secrecy is destroyed.
Yeah, so if you are exposed too quickly, then all the people have the ability to gang up on you and take you over. So if you can quietly take over in secret, then you are able to then secure your lifetime supply of blood. Well, I guess they mentioned it's not really a lifetime supply, but enough of a supply to last while you stay in that city until you decide to move on to a new city.
That's right. Because, the people would still have babies, and then you can...
Do vampires have babies? Oh, no, the people in the city have babies.
Yeah, the people in the city would still continue to...
Well, I guess it depends on how quickly you kill them off.
Yeah.
You drain the blood supply...
Before they can reproduce.
Yes.
This artwork is beautiful. I love the black and white +1 color. I've always loved that art style. In this game, it's red. Obviously, vampire's blood. there's lots of
So it really
blood
stands
talks.
out.
So it really kind of pops, even if it's not blood, so like lipstick or a tie or a little rose will still be red, and it just really pops off the beautiful artwork. Alan Diaminco did a great job.
And the one complaint that we had was...
we forgot, this is component / art. I don't think I said that.
Oh, yeah, so we've gone into the components and art. So the character vampire sheet, it's made of a really thin material. So...
right, it's almost like maybe a slightly thick paper as opposed to cardboard. And when we opened ours, they were kind of bowed. Not
terribly, but enough.
Right, and you gotta it holds your blood pieces, the kill count trackers on the side of it, and
so it's notched out of the side, and then you have your punch out cardboard piece.
Yeah, like a diamond shape.
That fits into those.
Right.
So you know how many kills that you have. But if that paper is flimsy, it'll separate really easily. I mean, it doesn't hold on to it in any way. And so you might lose track of how many kills you actually have. And it's important to know how many kills that you have, because the more kills you get, the more abilities that you unlock.
Now, for the Kickstarter, they had an optional expansion, which I did go ahead and get. And this had thicker player boards that your character sheet sits in. It had big metal tokens instead of the little punch outs. I don't know how much of that will get transferred over to the retail version if you did not back this Kickstarter, but some of it might. It also included minis for the minions and the agents instead of the little tokens.
Yeah.
Fancy, what would you call that? Glass blood.
Yeah,
props.
So it's just like the glass beads.
Yeah, instead of the cardboard ones.
So, but it's got the thick cardboard tokens, the punch out tokens. What's really nice is that for the agents and for the minions, they're double-sided. So part of the game is that agents, when they originally are played on the board, they're hidden. You actually have to reveal them, and so there is a hidden side and then there's a revealed side, so that you know whether or not they've been revealed. You actually can't attack them typically unless you have a special power if they're not revealed. And then for the minions, you have the choice of a female or a male, which is kind of nice. It doesn't necessarily matter, I don't think, because you're playing cooperative, whether it's a male or a female, but I kind of like to know which minion's mine and which one's his, so I might do the female ones and he'll do the male ones. But
or maybe I'll do females too.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
I don't want to go to the nightclub with another dude.
But, I mean, it gives you a choice. Whichever one you want to do.
That's right. Yeah, and it adds a little variety.
Yeah.
So it's not just the same picture over and over and over. There's two different pictures.
Yeah.
So the base game, the characters all 6 vampires have their own minis, and they look really good. Maybe slightly small. I think
they'd be really difficult to paint.
Yeah, I mean, those are pretty small. I think they could have blew them up a little bit. Now I know that adds to the cost of the game, so that's probably why they didn't do it. But I think with these being the size they are, it'd be pretty tough to paint.
Yeah, we probably still need to paint them because they're still a blank slate, but
yeah,
very, very, very fine detail.
Yeah, you better get a brush with 3 bristles on it to paint some of that stuff. So next is gameplay.
So for me, maybe not initially, but then when I started to think about it and we played it a couple of times, this has a pandemic feel to it, and I think that's why I was attracted to it so quickly when we started to play it, is I really love pandemic, but this has it's got the pandemic feel where you have rounds and each round has an event, and the event adds more obstacles to the board that you have to overcome. Only this one you have a little bit of resource management because you have your blood, so you have blood resources that you get to work with, and that also makes it really cool and fun. But yeah, I could see a lot of similarities between this and Pandemic. You have the board that you have to move around and overcome these obstacles in different areas, and you can't let one area get away from you, or you lose.
or just keep piling up. So you got to stay on top of it. The other thing about this game is it is tough. Really, really tough. We've played 4 times. Now we had one rule wrong the first 2, but we've lost all 4 games.
And I think that even with having gotten that rule wrong, we were still going to lose.
It would have been tough
because it was an end of game rule. Basically, we ended our game a little too early, but I still think that the track that we were headed on, we weren't going to win. It's just the ending the game the way that we did, missing that rule, being off on that rule. I think we were still going to lose. So this game is extremely difficult. We did talk about it and think about it a little bit more afterwards. And each of the cities has a nighttime or a daytime ability that you can use. Sometimes those abilities are in favor of the agents if there's more agents on that card during the day, or and then at nighttime though there's special abilities specifically made for the vampires. And we didn't really take advantage of those like we probably should have, so maybe our game in the future, thinking about it, if we utilize those more, maybe we'll do a little better.
Right.
But it definitely played into some frustrations because when you like a game and you like the way that a game is set up, you like the theme, you like the art, you like the components, and it's a type of game that you enjoy, and you go to play it and you lose every time. And you feel like there's just no hope.
Right.
It can get so frustrating because you really want it to work out for you.
Yeah, well, I enjoy challenging board games maybe a little bit more than Mary does, but
I'm a sore loser.
But this one is up there. Typically, like when we lose Pandemic, for example, I always felt like 1 or 2 more turns we win this game. This one has not been there. It's like we need 40 more turns to beat this game and we're done. So we're going to have to reevaluate our strategy, use the
night abilities.
Yeah, the night abilities on some of the city areas a little bit more.
I call them city tiles. They're district tiles.
Right. Maybe stick together a little bit more instead of spread out. So we got a couple things in brewing, and we'll see. So we put all of our games into one of 3 categories. Play means it hits the table as often as possible. Display means you leave it on the shelf and break it out when the urge strikes. Or stay away means you leave it at the store for someone else to get. And for us, Masters of the Night is a play. We really enjoy this style of game. I love horror. I love the art.
And it's cooperative.
We love the cooperative Pandemic style games. Now this one could drop to display, go to that silver medal, if some of our strategies don't work and we just continue to get stomped. I like to see these games get a little closer and really get that sort of feel of a little bit of competitiveness between us and the game.
Right. You want a game to be challenging, but you don't want it to be unwinnable.
Right, yeah.
And I think that the developers noticed that it was extremely difficult, even because we played it on the easy setting. I think the developers even recognized that because in the Kickstarter expansion, there's even a section on how to make the game easier if you find it too challenging. So I think they recognized it. It's a potential flaw with the game.
Right. So we'll see. We're going to try some more strategies and tactics, see if that works. Maybe try, because I think they have 3 ways of making the game easier, if memory serves, in the Kickstarter version. We'll try those, see how that works, and go from there, whether we leave it on the shelf or leave it on the table.
Okay.
Let us know in the comment section if you kickstarted this, or if after seeing this review, this game looks interesting to you. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Pumpkin.
Yeah.
I'm dragging ass tonight.
Well, we'll catch up eventually.
Nestle Pure Life, hit me up. We did the Video Game Dust Sleeve podcast last night.
We were up until 2:45.
We're up until 2:45. Then we had to drive 3 hours to go get the kids, so
Your parents
a little more
not
out
live so
today.
far away.